Well, hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about helping your teenager with anxiety, and specifically around the anxiety from social issues, dealing with friends or maybe feeling left out or struggling and even making friends. And actually, this is going to be the first of a three-part series where we're going to talk about three different areas and strategies around helping with this type of anxiety. So let's get started. Well, hello again, everyone. My name is Jim White, and I'm an author, coach, and the founder of the Family Enrichment Academy. And today we're going to be talking about how you can help your teenager with anxiety around social settings. This is social anxiety, if you will. And actually, this is the first of a three-part series where we're going to talk about some strategies to help the teen with this type of anxiety. Now, before we dive in today, though, I just want to let you know to be sure to stick around to the end of the video. I have a free resource for you. It's 10 questions you should never ask your teenager. And at the end of the video, I'll share a little bit more information about this and let you know how you can get that free resource. So again, be sure to stick around to the end. So back to our topic for today. So we're talking about social anxiety for your teenager. And it's, there's almost nothing worse than this. The idea of your teen being in a situation where they're experiencing, maybe they're feeling left out or they feel like they don't belong. The idea of them walking into the lunchroom at school and seeing none of their friends and, that awkwardness there. I mean, it's just for me, it's an awful feeling, right, when we start to think about that. And actually, the first thing, and the topic today is going to be around the parent's mindset, our mindset. And the premise is we have to get into a good place. If we're going to be able to help our teen work through this type of anxiety, we have to start by us being in a good place so that we can be there to build connection and empower them going forward. And so the first thing I would ask you to think about is what comes up for you when your teen is experiencing some of this social anxiety. We need to develop some awareness for that. And just to share, for me, again, if I picture my teenager being left out or not feeling like they belong, it's a little bit of sadness that comes up for me. You become sad and you worry and you want them to be happy. On the flip side, if I feel like there's somebody that's picking on them or being mean to them, then the anger starts to come up a little bit. So again, I invite you just to stop and pause for a minute and think about what comes up for you when you see your teen or your teen tells you about a situation where they start to have that anxiety and experience some of that in a social setting. And again, part of that for us is to develop that awareness that, I'm starting to experience sadness or disappointment or anger. And the reason I bring that up is because when we're in that place, we're not in a good place to really be able to connect and empower the teen later. And part of our first step, if you will, is to be able to shift our mindset a little bit, to be able to get away from those negative emotions and put ourselves into more of a love-based mindset. And again, part of why we do this, and I'll share this as well, we've talked about the idea of control versus empowerment. And part of the message that I like to share with parents is the idea of releasing or letting go of our need to control what's going on for the teen and shifting to more of an empowerment-based mindset. And when it comes to these issues, there's another distinction I can throw out as well, and that's the idea of rescue versus resiliency. And what we want to be able to do is to let go of our need to rescue or that want to rescue the teen and shift to trying to help them build resiliency so that they can be able to deal with circumstances going forward. And again, that's a shift in mindset. And you can see how if you're sad, if your teen's feeling left out, the natural reaction when you're sad is to want to go in and rescue them. You want to go in and take care of them or pull them out of that environment. On the flip side, somebody doing something that makes you angry because they're picking on them or whatever, again, that's that fight mode. You want to go in and rescue by standing up for them and trying to defend them, if you will. So again, you respond, the response tends to be more on the rescue sides of things when you're in that fearful mindset and you're experiencing those negative emotions. So we want to be able to shift to more of a love-based mindset, which allows us then to try to position and move into building connection and empowerment so that the team can become resilient. So be aware of that. And then the question is, well, how do you do that? How do you make that shift? So the first is to remember that distinction and just say to yourself when that starts to come up, do I want to rescue them, or would it be better if I try to teach them to be resilient or help them to become resilient? Ask yourself that question, and that'll create a little shift in your mindset. And then you can ask, well, how is this particular circumstance an opportunity for my team to learn to be resilient or to develop that along their journey? You see, that asking that question will put you in a different place and kind of creates a little bit of a different mindset. Kind of the two things that I like to, the two attributes that you're trying to get to is more of a compassionate mindset and a grateful one. How can this be a good thing is more of a gratitude position. So ask yourself some of those questions to help to shift into that more of a love-based mindset. And again, this is all about helping that team to become more resilient. And how we're going to get them there is by, again, building connection and empowering them to develop a really strong sense of self. If your teenager, as they develop that, and again, I'll remind you, this is a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. But as we work with the teen and they develop a really strong sense of self, when they walk into one of these situations, they're going to be able to be resilient, right? They're going to be able to get through it without being overwhelmed with anxiety. That's ultimately where we want to get them. Now, where we're starting, they're experiencing that anxiety, and we realize that. But again, that's just part of that journey that they have to go through. And so this first step in this first video is about your mindset and getting you back into a good place so that you can then step in and be there to build connection and empower them. So be aware of if you're starting to feel that sadness or anger or whatever comes up for you when you hear about a situation where your teen's experiencing this type of anxiety, and then try to shift that mindset. Ask those questions. How else can I look at this? How could this be a good thing for them as they move along their journey? What can we do? How can this be part of their development in developing that strong sense of self? Start to create that shift. And as you do that, you're going to find yourself in a better place. Now you're in a position to go and support and empower the teen. So just some food for thought for you. That first, and it always starts with us. How can we keep ourselves in that good, being grounded in that love-based mindset so that we're then in that position. So anyway, few thoughts to get started. So again, we're going to have 2 more videos in this series, and we're going to talk about building connection and empowerment in those next 2 parts of this 3-part series. Back to what I mentioned earlier, I do have this free resource for you. It's 10 questions you should never ask your teenager. Think of these as like conversation killers. And again, one of the most common things that I hear from parents is they're feeling a little disconnected or like their teenager won't open up and talk to them. And the solution is to ask better questions. And so I've got these 10 questions you should never ask, but I also have 10 great questions. These are the conversation starters. And this is a free resource. There's a link below. Go down, click that link, you go to the website, and we'll set you up and set you up to be able to download that resource. So be sure to check that out. I think you'll find it really helpful, and you start to implement some of these ideas and strategies, you'll find your teen will start to open up in just a few days in some cases. So anyway, check that out. It's for you. Once again, I just can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking the time to stop and watch this video and your commitment to being a better parent. And I invite you to connect and continue to join with our community. At the Family Enrichment Academy, one of our primary functions is to build a community of parents. And these are parents just like you, going through the same issues and concerns. And with that community, and we're all working to help empower each other as parents to stay love-based and to work from that love-based mindset. So connect to the community, and like I said, it's an open invitation. We love having you here as part of the community. So I can't tell you how much, again, it's an honor to serve you as you move along your parenting journey. So be sure to check out the next 2 videos. So until next time, remember, a change in perspective changes everything.